Hello, I'm Bruce Maples, publisher of Forward Kentucky, and today I've got some questions for Secretary of State Adams, Louisville Mayor Greenberg, Attorney General Coleman, and Governor Beshear. We've all seen the brutal actions of ICE agents in other cities and states. We've watched them attack people, kidnap people, and even murder people. And when I ask various leaders what our plan is in this state, the answer I usually get is keep our heads down and hope they don't come here. Well, I'm not much for keeping my head down or sticking it in the sand. So I've got some questions for our elected leaders on what they are going to do if ICE comes to Kentucky. Secretary of State Adams, if DHS asks for your voter rolls with all of our personal information, including Social Security numbers, will you give them the rolls or will you resist? If ICE shows up at our polling places, will you take action to protect our ability to cast our votes or leave us to fend for ourselves? Mayor Greenberg, if ICE does a metro surge into Louisville, sending hundreds of officers into our streets and neighborhoods and terrorizing our citizens, just as they did in Chicago and Minneapolis, will you take action against them? Or will you tell LMPD to help them? And if this happens and Louisvillians turn out in the hundreds to protest, will you stand with them? Or will you be nowhere to be seen, even as your own city and your own citizens are being vandalized and traumatized? Attorney General Coleman, if ICE begins grabbing people off the streets of our state, including American citizens, and holding them without due process, will you try to stop them or will you sit on your hands? If ICE murders someone in our state, will you investigate? Will you indict them? Will you arrest them or will you look the other way or say there is nothing you can do? Governor Beshear, if Trump tries to nationalize our state's National Guard and send them either into another state or into our own state to help ICE, will you countermand his order and tell them to stay home? Or will you go along? Even more importantly, are you meeting with Adams and Coleman and legislative leaders and National Guard leaders and anyone else who should be involved and putting together a plan on how to deal with ICE in our state? If Kentucky becomes the next Minnesota, what are you ready to do? What are you going to do? Or will you simply hope that being a red state will protect us and just keep your head down? The time to ask these questions is now, before Louisville and Lexington become the next Minneapolis and Kentucky becomes the next Minnesota. So I'm asking them, Mr. Adams, Mr. Greenberg, Mr. Coleman, Mr. Beshear, what are you doing now? And what are you prepared to do then?